So let's see. Okay, it says I'm live. Yes. Whew. Oh man, so many buttons to push and everything else. What a way to go. I'm so glad you're here and you have joined me. Hopefully, I'm going to have to switch between my hand and all, so I can't. Well, maybe I can. We'll see if this works. I do have the chat open, so if you come in, please say hello and let me know you're here. I'm going to shrink this down some and pull it up. We'll see if this works. The only way I know you're here is if you say hello in the chat box. You have to type that in. But for those of you who don't know me and are joining me, my name is Robbie and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in New Bern, North Carolina. I moved here about 3 years ago. I've been a demonstrator for 12 years. No, 17. What am I thinking? Where'd the 12 come from? 17 years, and I have been loving it. So when I moved to North Carolina, I had to kind of start over with customers and all. Some of my customers from Maryland still join me, but that's fine. And I'm going to share an idea with you where I take one card and I step it up and then I take it to wow. So with that, let's get started because I know I'm a little late and lunchtime is busy for everybody. So I am going to move my camera over and hopefully it's not straight. Let me straighten it a little bit. All right. Hopefully you're seeing that. Let me look at I'm about 30 seconds behind. So I just want to make sure it makes it over. And okay, it did. All right. So today I went looking for a stamp set that I could do the 3 steps up, and I hadn't played with Happiness Abounds in a while. So I'm actually using this image and this image. And for the stepped up cards, I did use the Blossoming Happiness dies, but I didn't use them for my first card. So my first card is a basic white card base, and it's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and looking for my bone folder. All right, so regular card. All right, now I want to use this image, but I don't want the stem. So when I ink this up, what I'm going to do, and I'm using real red, is I'm going to take that image and I'm going to put it right at the very edge of my ink pad and ink it up. So I'm not really getting just a little tiny bit of that stem, but that's okay. And then I'm going to stamp it on my card. All right. I'm going to go back and I'm going to ink it up again. I got to watch that one. This one down here, in here, I got to make sure I get it. I'm going to stamp this one on top of it, but I've changed the direction to give it some interest. And then the last one I'm going to do it in 3, is this one is going to come down here. So I've kind of created a focal point to this side. I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to close up my ink because I'm very bad with getting ink on things where they shouldn't be. If you're that way, close your ink up. All right, now I'm going to use these leaves, but I don't want the stem, so I'm going to use the same idea. And I'm going to ink it up. And the only thing you have to remember is make sure you ink up the top. You don't do it at an angle. I have a tendency to do that. And then I'm going to take this one And I'm going to pull in a piece of scrap paper only because I'm going to go off and I don't want it on my, all right. And I stamped it real close like that. Now I'm going to do the same thing. And I will tell you, there's been many a time that I've gone to the whole thing and then I realized I can't do that. All right. Now this one is going to come in here like so. And I'm going to do another one. And I'm going to come down here. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at this edge and this edge, and I'm trying to line it up as best I can. And then it needs a couple more because it looks a little bare. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to do that one. And I need one more because I always work in odd numbers. And let's see. Now, if you want some interest, I'm going to stamp that one lighter, stamp it one time and then stamp it off again. And I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, going to close this up. All right. And it needs a sentiment. You got to have a sentiment. So I'm pulling in my real red again. And I'm going to use from that same stamp set, Friend. And I'm going to stamp it right in this area, like so. And there's a clean and simple card. Quick and easy. You don't need a lot of supplies, and a great way to start if you're a beginner. I can get this out of the way. But suppose you're not a beginner. You want a little bit more. All right. So what I'm going to take and do is this time I'm going to add a background, and then I'm going to add some layers. So my card base is still the same, 5.5 by 4.5, scored at 4 1/4. Okay. And then this is going to go on like so. I'm going to use my seal just because it'll be quicker and easier, and I won't get my hands all gluey with the multi-purpose liquid glue. All right, now this paper is in the current mini. It's a July to December one. It's called Gingham Cottage. All right, I'm going to add, because I used red, I'm going to add a white layer, and I want it to pop, so I'm going to put it on the red. So I will do this. Now, I did do some work ahead of time so that I could save some time, because I know your lunch hour is limited. This is going to go on like this, perfectly flat in the middle. Okay. And let me move this down a little bit and see. No, this one doesn't give you the option to see if anybody's watching. So I guess I'll just keep going and assume people are out there. All right, now, this time what I did was I stamped the images in the colors I'm using, and I die cut them. All right, but what I'm going to take and do is I don't want this little piece here, so I'm going to cut it off. And it's easy to do, just pull it out like so. And I'm not going to worry about those because I think I can get it to work without it. And hopefully I don't need any more. I only did 3. I do have some others over here that are stamped, but they're not cut out. So if I need another one, I can get it. All right, so now I have those cut. This time I'm going to put one flat here. So I'm going to use my seal, and I'm going to stick it down like so. These two I'm going to pop up, and I'm going to use my dimensionals So I'm going to put a dimensional here and here. Normally I put them on each side, but I don't know where I'm going to put my leaves, so I'm not going to do that. I don't want to block my path, so to speak. All right, now this one is going to go here, and then this one is going to go down here. And now it's time to add my leaves. And I love glue dots. I think it's a great way to add in your leaves. You just have to be careful you don't rip them off. So I've added a glue dot on the end, and I'm going to stick this one down underneath, and I'll just push down on it. And now let me get another one. All right. And I'm going to put this one here. So, and I've got one more. And what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to put this one under here and kind of tuck it under this. So I have a arc, so to speak, created. Now I need my sentiment. So I'm going to use the same one with this. And this is stepped up just a little, so you would need a few more supplies for this one. You would need the pattern paper, and you would need the red cardstock, real red cardstock. But there's the one stepped up. All right. Now let's take it to wow. All right. I still have my, I'm going to slide that up just slightly, only because I need a little space to work in. All right. I'm going to add my card base, same as all the rest. I'm going to use that black and white paper, but this time I'm going to put a layer of red behind it. So I have popped it up. Okay. Oh, and I think I'm out. Yes, I am. All right. Well, I'm switching to my glue. I do have another one, but I don't want to fool with it right now. So I'm just going to switch to the glue. All right. So there's that. Okay. And now I'm going to add this to my card base. And I don't know what kind of glue you use, but make sure if you're using a glue that has a lot of, it's like water-based, Elmer's glue is the worst to use. I will tell you that right off. You are going, if you're using too much glue, your card will warp. So watch that and see that you don't do that. All right. Now I have the same panel as the other one. So I'm going to add this to here like so. All right. And it's got a very slight border. If the slight border bothers you, just cut it a little bit bigger. This one I am going to put on with dimensionals. Again, this is a wow. So I want to make sure I have some pop to it. And I've got to cut some more. Hopefully I won't run out. Okay. If you're watching the replay, make sure you say hello and tell me where you're from. I'd love to know who's watching. All right. I'm going to put one there. And I need one more up here. So I've got it. And hopefully I do that all the time and I don't remember if I've put anything down to protect it. So now I'm going to take my backs off, and your pokey tool is your friend because it pops them off really easy. Okay. And then we're set to put this down. Move that out of the way. I also use yucky scissors to cut my dimensionals because they're going to get sticky. So there's that. Now, to take this one a step further, I thought I would color my images. So I pulled in my watercolor pencils and my blender pen. And I'm going to show you how I did it. I cut it, I stamped it and cut it, but I saved my template, so to speak, so I could pop these in there so it would be easy to color. So if you're the type that can't line things up or whatever, cut it out, save your template, and then pop it back in. And then make sure that your watercolor pencil isn't too sharp, because if it is, you'll get lines. And I know I have one in one of those. I'll see if I can find it. And I'm just loosely coloring it. I'm not doing anything fancy. All right. And then I'm going to do the same here. And I kind of need to sharpen my red just a little. So I'm going to color this in. And I have a tendency to go in circles when I color, so that I make sure I don't get those lines. All right. Okay, now what I'm going to take and do now is with my blender pen, I'm going to blend that pencil so that it colors it in and you have some shading with it. And it's really nice having it in this little template. Now, before you can move to the red, you need to scribble off and make sure this runs clear, or you'll ruin your image. You'll have a yucky color. It'll be brown in there. I've done it more than once, believe me. It takes some practice. All right, so I've got that done. But I wanted to show you, I'm not going to clean that just yet. I went back and I did some shading to get it a little darker. But with the shading, you have to be very careful. First of all, this needs to be dry. So make sure it's dry. And then I wanted it darker here. So I'm going darker here. I'm going over it a couple of times. And then I wanted it on the outside. So I'm just kind of doing lines around the outside. And then I'll come back with my blender pen. Try to keep it as close to the edge as you can. I'm gonna keep working on this. And I'm gonna go ahead and do that one there. All right, so then I'm going to take my blender pen. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in circles where I scribbled. I don't want to come down all the way, or you're going to color the whole thing. And you don't want it. So to do that, you won't have any contrast then. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of coloring in a circle and coming down part of the way just to give it some color. And I did this first because this is going to be really dark, because I really pressed on it like so. And I want to do this one. I'm just going to be very careful because I still want some light there. All right, now I'm going to do this and make it dark there. And there's that's how I stepped it up even further. And see, I'm scribbling. I've still got red in spots. I turn it as I scribble. It will stain. Let me see. It will stain, but that's not coming off. Once it's gone, it's gone. It'll stay stained, but it won't come off on your project. So now I've got those done, and I don't need my template anymore, but I am going to cut off my stems again. Let's see. Okay, one more. And again, I'm not worried about the stems on the leaves because I'll tuck them under. All right, so I've got those. Now, I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to put this one down flat, all right? And I'm going to close this up because if not, my tip, point, whatever you want to call it, will clog up. That's not good. So I'm going to put this one down and I'm going to kind of go at an angle like so. All right. Now, I love the glue because once it grabs, it grabs. You do get a little bit of wiggle room. So you have a little bit of space to do some finagling with it. That back came off. But once it grabs, there's no moving it. All right, I'm going to put this one here. And because this is popped up, I'm trying not to go off too far. I think I'll go that way with it. Oh, I should have stamped that first, but I didn't. Okay, this could be interesting. I'm going to do this before I put my leaves on. All right. So let me, that way I can kind of, wow, it worked. Whew. I was a little nervous there because it's not solid. It kind of caves and I thought, that might not work. Okay, back to my glue dots now. Get rid of that long piece. And let me get this one off. When you put this down, don't pull it this way. You'll rip your thing. I pinch it off. All right, so I'm going to put this one under here like so. All right. Then I'll put my next one up at the top like I did for the other one. All right. And then my last one. And this one's going to be interesting because I don't want to hide my friend. All right, so I've got to get it under this. There we go. So there. So there it is, popped up. And then to take it over the top, I'm pulling in some red rhinestones, right? And I'm going to sprinkle them on. And I'm going to do this in odd numbers. All right. So I just added a little bit of bling because I have to have my bling. So I began with a clean and simple card. I stepped it up and I took it to a wow. I hope you've enjoyed today's Lunchtime with Robbie, and you'll join me next Wednesday at noon to see another idea. Don't know what it'll be. It may not be 3 cards like this, and again, it could be. You never know. Let me switch back to my face. There we go. And I'm going to move that out of the way. All right. Okay. I appreciate your coming in. If you watch the replay, remember, say hello, tell me hi, tell me where you're from, and give me some feedback. Do you like this idea of Lunchtime with Robbie? So we'll see. I hope you have a great afternoon, and I hope I see you next week. Bye.